Welcome back, everybody. You know what time of the year it is? That's right, sugar season. Time to make some maple syrup. It's supposed to be pretty warm this weekend. Have a couple good days. It's my tree house. Go up there every once in a while. So I want to give you guys a quick tutorial on how I make maple syrup. These are easily acquired at Menards, Lowe's, Home Depot, some of the home improvement stores. They're just a 1/4 inch by whatever thread this is. I think I use a 15/16 socket to screw them into the tree. This is my drill. It's very important you have a screw tip drill. This helps it suck into the tree, because when you do 100 of these a day, it starts hurting your wrist, so that helps. And my impact driver, just drill it in. I use food grade 1/4 inch ID by 3/8 OD hose. I got this at Amazon. I think it was like 15-16 bucks, 100 foot of it. These jugs, I have a water treatment system. They use peroxide. So these are required at my local dealer. I just save them. I drill a hole in the cap so I can stick my hose in. I bleach them every year, make sure I get them clean and sanitary. And then stick the hose down in them and the syrup flows. Okay, once I'm at the tree, I just stick my drill bit at an angle. And I go in right to where the line on the 3/4 is, and clean it out a little bit. You can see up in there it's about 1 inch deep. Take my finger, clean it out a little bit. It's already starting to run a little bit. It's not too warm today. And I take my tap, stick my tap up in here, and take my drill, put it on low, Alright, once I get the taps in, I take my hose, I shove it over just over the second ridge. I measure how far down it needs to go, and I cut my pipe. Then I take the end of the pipe and I stick it down into the cap. It's a little cold, so I don't want to break my plastic. Wiggle it around a little bit to get it in there. Just like that. Now, this will fill up, and then I collect all my syrup after a couple days, couple weeks, however long it takes. And I'll start boiling it down on my stove. So I've got a tap that's dripping a little bit. It's producing a little bit of sap. It's probably been in the sun all day. This is north facing here. This is south. So the sun probably shines on it most of the day and heats it up. So the syrup will flow anytime it's frozen during the night and thaws out during the day. It pushes the fluid up through the veins of the tree, and that's what causes the syrup to flow. Alright, so this is my setup for boiling down my sap. I just got done collecting around 65 gallons. That was 2 days worth. And I have about 30 trees and around 55 taps. So I've got a lot of work. Obviously, I was collecting it with my four-wheeler. Now, since I'm boiling it inside, it is very important to do this on a day where it's a little bit warmer, like 40 degrees. The main reason is because the fans. These fans will vent out all of this steam and keep the wallpaper from peeling and the paint. Now, if I did this on a cold day, it would be very, very cold in here because it's circulating quite a bit of air, sucking a lot from inside. Now, these pans, they're culinary pans, stainless steel. They hold 5 gallons apiece. I can boil down 10 gallons at a time. Now, I keep an accessory burner down here. I keep this is about a 3-gallon pan. I keep this hot, so when I replenish the fluid, once this boils off, it takes less time to get back up to a rolling boil. Got an extra pan here too. I'll just keep topping this off, and then I'll take this outside and then fill this back up to fill this up as well. Now, the big thing, once it does start boiling, I have to turn this fan on here in a little bit so I don't get a lot of steam in here, but keep your doors open. I've got my front door cracked. I will turn this fan on. It'll help push the steam down, and this will allow the steam to push out the window. Now, I can boil around 30 gallons a day with this method. It takes about 10 to 12 hours. So, if I've got 65 gallons, I'm going to be doing this for the next couple days. So after a couple hours of boiling down, I've got some syrup that's getting ready to turn. As soon as it starts bubbling and foaming up the top, it'll start rising in the pan. That's when you want to shut it off, and that's when it's turned to syrup. This one is not quite there yet, but it'll kind of turn white all the top and start foaming, and then you know it's ready. So when this foam starts rising, the maple syrup has turned and it's ready to process and start pouring. Now I just pour into mason jars. This is a quart. This is what you'll end up with. This is about 10 to 15 gallons of sap. Makes 1 quart. So I boiled down about 20-25 gallons the other day. Just depends on the sugar content, how much you get. As you can see, it's starting to turn now. And I tell you, it smells really good in the house. It's kind of like a butter pecan ice cream. Nothing beats pure maple syrup. Now the maple syrup is done. So as soon as it turns and foams like this, it means all the water is boiled off and it is officially maple syrup. So I'm going to put it in my jars and then I'll show you what I do after that. So this is how I do it. I take a ladle, I scoop up a full ladle full, pour it into my jar, and just keep doing this until the jar fills up completely. You want it just barely foaming out the funnel, then it's time for your next jar. Just got done pouring all my jars. I'm going to let these set for a couple days. What'll happen is all the cloudiness will clear up. It'll fall to the bottom of the jar. That's called sugar sand. It's kind of gritty. It's actually consistency just like sand, so you don't really want to eat that or put it on your waffles or pancakes. It's kind of gross. So what I do is I pour off the syrup off the top of that into a jar, and that's where I make my finished syrup. The sugar sand, I don't quite discard it yet. I'll consolidate all the sugar sand together into one jar, then I'll boil it, and then I'll run it through a coffee filter, and I'll get a little bit more syrup out of it. So that's how I make maple syrup. If you have any questions, leave it in the comment section below. I'll be sure to answer them. And that's the easy way to do things.